So recently I've noticed this Fresh and Rebel soundbar. We can purchase these things from our stores Action. They are actually based in Europe. And they're asking around 30 bucks for this freaking soundbar. And I was thinking, can this be something interesting for just, let's say, watching some Netflix or just playing some games? Because improving the audio is also one of those key features that will give you an overall better experience of multimedia. Where some of the soundbars come packed up with a subwoofer, this one doesn't have it. It's like a low budget solution. We have seen a couple of them more, like Roseland, some other ones, and I must say that Fresh Rebel, I was very intrigued seeing this soundbar with the Action. I've reviewed all kinds of, let's say, smaller Fresh Rebel speakers, and I was in overall quite, let's say, satisfied with the overall quality, particularly when it comes to the audio quality itself, but also when it comes to the bass. So seeing this soundbar with really cool features, including Bluetooth connectivity, so we can stream our music from our phone or tablet to the soundbar, but also you can use a HDMI ARC, we get optical, and of course the old school jack. So we have multiple different ways to actually connect this to your device. So if you have like an older television, or it's still television with jack out, but if you have like optical out, or modern televisions with HDMI ARC, you can all connect it with the soundbar. One of the things I was really intrigued by is also how will the overall quality be? I must say when the Roseland soundbars from the Action were quite nice when it comes to the visual part. They had like this high glossy finish where I'm not always like that happy with. But when you're going to be looking into the soundbar of Fresh and Rebel, it looks kind of basic. So let's do a little bit of a rip and tear, been playing a little bit too much Doom. The point is that this is an overall basic design. Fresh and Rebel, yeah, I must say they did a great job. Personally, I don't really love that glossy freaking black finish because it's always getting like fingerprint nightmare, and also it's going to be scratched up if you're going to be dusting it off throughout the years. So the device itself is not like some super fancy stylish, let's say, design, but they did use some really nice fabric at the front. I must say that's one of the things that I find always a little bit, give it a little bit of a premium feel, and everything is more like this simple plastic look. Yeah. So you don't need to be afraid. Sometimes you also use rubber. You don't need to be afraid it's going to be having problems. On the top side, we're going to be finding all of the buttons for connectivity, HDMI, Bluetooth. You can change out the volume or change the next song if you're going to be connecting with Bluetooth and audio. So it's quite simple when it comes to that, but that's the simple reason, because it comes with a remote, and the remote itself will give you all of the options that we're going to be for switching and everything else. Okay, in the middle, we're going to be finding all of the connectivity, also a power switch for turning it on and off. Cable management is not going to be any problem. It's been located quite nicely. HDMI, everything is like put in a certain position. You can easily like hang it under your TV, or you're going to be putting it in front of it, and you can just basically get rid of all of the freaking cables. So I think that's one of the cool things. It also comes with very thick rubber feet for giving the best overall comfort, with a simple reason because this thing does contain a little bit of bass. We do have a little bit of a wiggle when it comes to that, but I think it's not going to be noticeable if you're going to be putting it in front of your television. So inside the package we're having the remote, and the remote is just simple. You know, it's nothing very fancy, but you know, it will does the trick. It comes even with some batteries. So the Fresh Rebel soundbar will be connected with the original power supply, and then it also comes including an HDMI and a jack cable. So yeah, the remote is kind of funny. If you're going to be looking at the remote of my lights of the studio, it's exactly the same, only it does of course have a different input. And you know, if you're going to be grabbing my other controller, you can actually see that it's just the freaking same. So yeah, there's only one manufacturer in China that actually makes all of these remotes, but they're simple, very cheap plastic, but they just do this, it's just okay. However, you can connect your Bluetooth speaker with your phone. I think that's going to be one of the cool features if you just want to listen to music, or you want to let somebody hear some music. You can just easily connect it, and what you're needing to do is just turn the speaker on and your Bluetooth, and that's it. It will automatically recognize your device, and this way we can just easily connect and just listen to some music. And the overall music, let's do some testing, because it sounds not bad at all.
We can do everything, everything.
But if you're going to be listening to the overall quality of the music, I was actually using some copyright-free music, of course, but if you're going to be listening to all kinds of music, I must say that this thing comes with quite a lot of bass. You need to take consideration if you're going to be putting it on the wall. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult because it's going to be vibrating like crazy if you're going to just putting it on some freaking screws and going to be putting it on your television. So you need to do a little bit of adjusting that. However, if you're going to be listening to the music, just putting it in front of your television, it's not going to be a problem because this thing does have some really nice bass. Of course, it's not comparable if you're going to be listening this to, of comparing this actually to something with a subwoofer, but I think it's a very cool addition to the overall sound and overall experience. To make it a little bit more complex, we also have like an equalizer built in. Yup, we got 3 settings, so I'll give you a quick example of all 3 of them. So here we can change out the bass if you don't want to hear that.
EQ1. EQ2. EQ3. EQ1. EQ2. EQ3. EQ2.
Okay, so the soundbar itself looks kind of nice. I've been putting it in front of my Sony television. It's around 55 inches. And I must say that it's not looking bad, because some of the soundbars looks kind of tiny if you're going to be comparing that with your television. But this is a 55 inch. If you have like a smaller one, it's going to be even looking better. And the overall design, yeah, fits nicely. But let's do some Netflix testing, and we're going to be doing a couple of examples. We're going to be comparing this with the onboard like speakers, and of the Sony television, they sound quite nice. So let's do a side-by-side comparison. You will actually hear that the soundbar will have a really nice positive addition to my television.
The bar.
Get lost.
I am lost. You're the guy from the bar.
Get lost.
I am lost. I'm trying to get inside the base. Hey, I saw the way you fight. I'm trying to get inside the base. Hey, I saw the way you fight. How did they even arrest you?
They didn't. I gave myself up.
Interesting choice. Your boys are gonna pay for that! Your boys are gonna pay for that! This is the first time you've ever willingly returned to a school. This is the first time you've ever willingly returned to a school. How does it feel?
Like returning to the scene of the crime. I already know where the bodies are buried.
Money is, at its essence, that measure of a man's choices. Money is, at its essence, that measure of a man's choices.
The optical out seems to be working fine, but with HDMI ARC, somehow I don't know what is going on. It did notice the speaker, but it doesn't do anything when it comes to, let's say, giving me some audio. So that's kind of weird when it comes to that, but I think that has to do with my television and not the soundbar, because also with previous soundbar I also had this issue. But yeah, this is actually a plug and play situation. You can just press the button on the soundbar, or you can actually press yourself the button on the remote and it automatically switches to the certain input. But I was just using the jack cable throughout the audio testing, and I can tell you that I was quite satisfied with the overall result when it comes to the overall quality of the audio. So when it comes to the soundbar for 30 bucks, I think it's not going to be a bad deal. It does have a nice addition to your overall audio settings, but of course you cannot really compare this to the high-end stuff. It's like a fun addition if you're searching for a soundbar that has like a little bit better audio quality than your speakers inside of your monitor, or at least your TV. This can be a very fun and cool addition. Thank you all for watching, and it would be great to see you in the next package from China, or at least package from the Action, because that is what it is over here. Yeah.